They're not 15 minutes. They're not 15 minutes early. They're late.
Yeah, Mark's on the.
All right, what do you think? I think 6:05 we get started. Thanks for everyone for coming. And if there's a lot of directors on here as well, so if I miss anything, feel free to jump in. We are here to go over the rules for the 2025 season, and this is 12U and up, right? So 12U and 16U. So hopefully a lot of returning coaches, and there's not too many changes. So hopefully we can kind of zoom through it real quick. Elaine's going to go over the rules, but before we do that, I just wanted to share a document that I made real quick, just with some important scheduling reminders. And it also has the directions for how to upload scores. So I'm gonna drop that in the chat, the link to that. And directors will have a copy too. So if you can't get at it right now, they can send it later on. Um, I guess I can project my screen just to kind of go over the basics. Hang on one second. Oh, Keith might have to share. Hold on. I'm gonna. Oh, okay. Hang
Should
on.
be good now.
Yeah. All right. Can you see my screen? Keith, can you give me the heads up? I have too many tabs open. Can you see or no?
Not yet. Nope.
Yeah.
Hang on. See, I'm used to Google Meet, so I gotta figure out how to share this real quick.
You should be able to just hit the share button and then just.
It's asking me if I want a whiteboard
Can you
or
see,
no.
can you see mine? I just shared it.
I can
Yep.
see.
Can you see it?
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
you're
you.
Is
good.
it, yeah, is this what you wanted up or were we doing the rules?
No, that's what I wanted up.
Okay.
And I just have mine here too, so I can just read it. So the schedules are live as of today. So coaches, make sure that you get that link out to parents. And just a reminder that it's better to share the live link than to just give them like a printed schedule because, if games change, um, this is the most current schedule. And then just like a few reminders, the schedule should be played as close to what it is as possible. So we should be making an attempt to play every single game. If there's a rain out, you need to reach out to the other coach as soon as possible and pick a new date. Um, if there's like an event that impacts your whole team or most of your team, we've already tried to ask for blackout dates and things like that. But if something comes up, say like a band concert that you didn't know about, and it's like your whole team, you can, in that situation, reach out to the other team and try to reschedule the game as soon as possible. But just a reminder that if you're just missing one girl's out sick, or one girl has to go somewhere, or a few players, you should still try to play your game as scheduled. And you would call up players from a younger division to sub in that situation to make sure that you have at least 9 or 10. I'd say go for 10. Um, and especially at these older levels, we added a new rule this year. We want to make sure that different kids get a chance to play up. So each player from a younger division coming up is only eligible to play in 4 games in a given season, so that you can't just like pull up the same kid over and over. So coaches should email the directors with the names of any players that are called up and the date of the game. So just a reminder that no one likes to play without, their best player, their oldest player, whatever, if she's out sick, but it's a struggle to get these games in already. So we really can't be like trying to move things around just for the sake of like 1 or 2 players, or like say you have even like a coach out, you have one of your assistants that can't make a game, still try to play if you can, get somebody to fill in. Because it's really hard, especially as we get to the end of the season. We're running into playoffs and we're running into graduations and all the end of the school events and rain and who knows. We need to try to get all the games in. There won't be an extension. There will not be any extensions of the regular season if coaches fail to make up these games or the weather doesn't cooperate. Any unplayed games are going to be scored as a tie, and then we're just going to move on to playoffs. So we don't want that to happen, so that we're trying to be proactive and try to play all the games as quickly as we can. At the bottom of this page, game reporting. So home games, the home team is responsible for reporting the score within 72 hours of the game. So you have to visit the website and just it's a pretty easy process. I'm gonna click on this. There's a link there that takes you to the directions. Thanks, Elaine. So basically you just go to the website. There's a password that you have to type in, which is pretty basic. It's like 10 you score, 12 you score, 16 you score. And you just go to the website, follow these directions, and enter your score. And that's it. Pretty easy. You don't really need to do anything else. If you have any trouble, your directors will be able to help you with that. But it is home team's responsibility for that. And then just keep in mind that we're doing this for the kids. We thank and appreciate all the coaches for spending your time and effort developing skills and players. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that all the kids enjoy being part of a team and that we all remember that it's just a game, right? And the umpires are volunteers too, especially at the younger levels. Sometimes they're just learning. So we're not going to argue with umpires. We can politely ask a question if needed. And if a parent gets mouthy on the sidelines, it is your job to ask them to stop. As the coach, you got to step in and tell them to cool it. We're all trying to just play a game here, and adults should be modeling good sportsmanship toward everyone, right? I think we all know that, but just a reminder. So, if anybody has any questions about the scheduling, I can answer those now. If not, Elaine's going to go over the rules.
We good? Excuse me. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just gonna, I think you basically went over the first page of the rules, and Keith said that the rules are posted on the website. So if directors haven't sent that link out to your coaches yet, or this draft with the rules, you can have them look at the website, or parents or families that need to see the rules. But here's the basic rules that starts on page 2. This goes for all the team, all the levels, as far as, this is a sample. Obviously, this is the weeknight game sample for warm-ups when they start. And then that would change, of course, depending on your time of game on Saturdays or Sundays. There are a couple Saturday, Sunday games this year that I saw in the schedules that are a little bit different. So warm up for the home team closest to the field, half an hour before the start of the game, and then the visiting team review ground rules with the managers and the umpire. Usually you go to the plate and review those, and then start the game on time, as close to on time as you can. This grace period ends. It says major and senior only must have at least 8 players or the game will be a forfeit. Team managers should exhibit good sportsmanship about the grace period prior to each game, review and discuss ground rules and play times with the umpire and the other team manager. Any questions about that? All right. So again, these are general rules across all divisions. Softballs at minor, major, and senior division must be racing balls. No new inning shall start after 1 hour and 45 minutes from the start of the game. Per Babe Ruth rules, no game shall last longer than 2.5 hours. The umpire makes the final determination of when the game ends. On weekends, when there are no field schedule conflicts, the managers of both teams can agree to play past the 1 hour and 45-minute time limit. This must be discussed and agreed to prior to the beginning of the game. Whenever possible, coaches should attempt to play the natural end of the game. Exception, playoffs equals no time limit. And was this a change? Is this why this is highlighted in yellow? Does anyone know?
Yeah, it was just something that we talked about, but it's going to stand as is.
Okay. If the score is tied at the end of regulation play, extra innings may be played within the time limits stated above. If the time limit is reached, the game will end in a tie.
The only time that games won't end in a tie is during playoffs.
Right. Okay. Lineup shall be exchanged as soon as possible. Typically, it's while teams are warming up. Whoever's doing your book, usually you walk over to the other coach, talk about lineups. Home team provides 2 game balls as specified in the age bracket. So for this level, it's the 12-inch balls. Protest, major and senior only. The team managers and umpires should make every attempt to resolve any conflict and continue the game. If a resolution cannot be reached, the head coach must inform the umpire before leaving the field. The NCMS league director should be notified ASAP. Protests will follow the Babe Ruth rules. Let's see. All players must play in at least 60% of all regular season games to be eligible to participate in playoffs, excluding documented medical circumstances. In the case of medical circumstances, the town city director is expected to keep documentation and notify NCMS board by email. The NCMS board will notify all teams if a player is ineligible to participate in the playoffs. At the end of the NCMS regular season, all official scoreboards will be made available to check by the NCMS board. If there are any reports of foul play, issues need to be brought to the attention of the board in writing by the town city director before the playoff schedule is set. A date will be determined at the NCMS kickoff meeting each year. Weekly counts of innings pitched that apply to 10U and 12U reset at the start of the playoffs and also for the championship game, regardless of when the pitcher last pitched. Any questions? Am I moving too fast here? I'm good. Okay. At all levels, the pitcher, first baseman, and third baseman must wear a fielder's face shield. A player must play for the town in which they reside unless the town does not offer a team at their age level. Some exceptions apply and must be approved by NCMS board directors. Tie vote is decided by the past NCMS board director or the chief umpire if the past director has left the league, before a player is rostered and able to play. When rosters are submitted to the NCMS league, each director must know any waivers granted by local league for playing in another town, playing in a younger division, etc. Players may not be on the roster for two different teams or divisions, which you just touched on a little bit, that they can play up to 12U 4-game limit. Was that it?
Yeah, 4-game limit per
4-game
player.
limit. Okay.
Yeah.
Only playing up, not playing down.
Yeah.
Okay. So playoffs, 10U, 12U, and 14, 16U teams will have the opportunity to play in the postseason. All teams will be entered into single elimination playoff brackets with seeding based on division standings. Division standings: for a win, a team receives 2 points, a tie is 1 point, and a loss is 0 points. In the event of a tie for points, our tiebreaker, runs against, then runs scored will come into play. All teams must have the same number of games in each level.
Can I
16U.
say something about
Yeah,
that?
go ahead. Yep.
Yeah. So just a word of caution to all coaches. Just your schedule, you might have like set days that you're playing, right? If you get on a regimen of a Monday, a Wednesday, a Saturday, when it comes to playoffs, all bets are out the window. You need to be prepared for that week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever it is, that you can play on any day. And it might be a day or two notice. So just tell the parents now that when playoffs come, we're all in it. Everyone makes the playoffs and it comes fast and furious, and we have to be ready at any day.
Right. Good point. Okay. 16U must slide if there's a play at second, third, or home plate. The runner is out if she doesn't slide when the fielder at one of those bases is in possession of the ball. Emphasis needs to be on teaching the fielder how to cover base and players how to slide. 12U must slide or avoid contact or be called out when the play is at home plate and when a play is being made. An example is the catcher flips the ball to the pitcher. Must slide or avoid contact or be called out when play at second or third and the fielder is in possession of the ball. Any questions on those? Okay. All divisions should avoid contact if play is at a base or runners out if they initiate contact with the fielder. All umpires must be patched during the playoffs. Coaches will confirm with each other that umpires will be patched or the game is postponed until one is available. The championship game will be played at the lower seeded 1 versus 2 at one's, for an example, 1 versus 2 would be at number one's team's field. If that field is not available, then they can play at the other team's field or a mutual field. Both teams will schedule an umpire, one for the plate and one for the base. The board will give a few 3 to 4 days time frame for when the game must be played. Must be before school is over so that people don't leave for vacations. If a team cannot field enough players, they must pull up from the lower age division. The championship game will be played and the champion will not be determined by a forfeit situation. When the inning run limit has been reached, the play continues until its natural end. Don't have players walk off the field in the middle of a play. Any runs scored after the inning limit do not count. A team may not steal once they are up by 10 runs. Per the Babe Ruth official rulebook, see definition of shoes, metal cleats are permitted in the 16U division. In the 10U and 12U divisions, only rubber cleats will be permitted. Okay, so game cancellations and makeup games. In the event of inclement weather, it is the home team manager's responsibility to initiate the communication process for game cancellations. before 4:15 p.m. at a minimum on weekdays, and 1 hour and 45 minutes before game time on weekends. The manager will contact the opposing manager and umpire when cancellations occur. If a game needs to be called for inclement weather, the two managers will have 3 days, 72 hours to reschedule the game and 14 days to play the game. If after 3 days the game has not been rescheduled, the softball directors for each town will get involved. The teams can switch fields and move a game to another town to ensure the game is played within 14 days. If a game that has been called due to weather cannot be made up, and every reasonable attempt has been made to reschedule the game before the 14 days or end of the season, if within 14 days of close of the season, then it's recorded as a 1-1 tie. If a manager wants to reschedule a game for a reason other than weather, the manager can request to reschedule the game with the opposing manager as long as the rescheduled game is played within 14 calendar days of the original game. If they cannot work out a new date, then the game will be played when scheduled. If a manager cannot field a team on the scheduled date or work out a new date, then that game will be considered a forfeit and recorded as a 6-0 loss for the forfeiting team. Except in 16U, it will be recorded as a 7-0 loss. Any questions on all that? I know that was a lot. No. Okay. There should be an honest attempt to play all regular season games regardless of the standings. Families have paid for a full season and kids need the experience. Okay, sportsmanship code. The Babe Ruth sportsmanship code is develop a strong, clean, healthy body, mind, and soul. Develop a strong urge for sportsmanship-like conduct. Develop an understanding of and respect for the rules. Develop courage in defeat, tolerance and modesty in victory. Develop control over emotions and speech. Develop a spirit of cooperation and team play. Develop into real, true citizens in the NCMS League. Players and coaches are required to maintain a sense of fair play and be respectful of opposing players, coaches, and spectators at all times. Players, coaches, and spectators will not question or criticize umpire calls and will only speak to umpires in a positive manner. Don't run at, yell at, degrade, touch, or argue a call loudly or at length with an umpire. After a play, the head coach may call and receive time, walk to the umpire that made the call and ask a rules question in an appropriate tone and with appropriate body language and behavior. There is a zero tolerance policy for disrespectful or inappropriate interactions with a junior umpire, including repeatedly questioning calls. A junior umpire should work with the home team coach as their advocate to resolve any issues with players, coaches, and spectators.
Can I just add one thing here, just to
Yes, of course.
emphasize? Because the junior umpires are kids, and this hasn't happened in a while, but like I know as adults, sometimes we get really into the game and you're like, what do you mean that's a strike? Don't do that to them. That's like harassing the kid. Like, do not argue with them. If you have a young umpire, just let it be. Ask if they're not sure of a rule, right? You can discuss it appropriately, but they're kids. They're learning. Just let it be. It's not that deep.
That's right. Thank you. Players, coaches, and spectators are not allowed to attempt to distract an opposing player at any time during the game, whether they are pitching, fielding, or hitting. This includes negative chants, cheers, and taunts. Coaches are expected to keep behaviors in check and listen to the songs, chants coming from their dugout. Complaints about sportsmanship during interleague play should be made in writing to the NCMS League Board, and disciplinary action may include, but is not limited to immediate ejection from the game, a written warning, probation, and/or suspension of an individual or team. COVID-19 rules. Are we still doing that? I guess it just says the NCMS League will follow applicable federal, state, and Babe Ruth laws and guidelines related to COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so now we can skip ahead to 12U.
Yeah. Basically,
No?
while you're going there, 12U and 16U pretty much have the same rules except for the pitching distances and the um, run limits.
Okay. Okay, so this is the 12U division, ages 9 to 12. Games are scheduled typically Monday, Wednesday at 6 p.m. and Saturday. It says 2, but I think it's 3. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, I think it's
I
a
know
little different, but
on my schedule they're all 3.
yeah.
Think they're mostly 3 or 6 o'clock.
Yep.
Okay,
6 during the
okay,
week, 3 during the weekend.
okay. So we'll fix that. And like Lucia said, and Jason said, subject to change as far as what day of the week. There are a couple of Sunday games on the
Mhm.
schedule. I don't know which towns those are affecting, but we have at least 3 for our 12U. Innings equals 6 innings. Ball size equals 12-inch ball. Optic yellow raised seams. The mercy rule is 5 runs per inning, except the 6th inning and beyond, which is unlimited. If after 3 innings or later, the next inning is going to be the last, then it can be unlimited if agreed upon by both managers and the umpire. The pitching distance for 12U is 40 feet from the back tip of the home plate. Pitchers are limited to 9 pitched innings per calendar week, Monday through Sunday, per Babe Ruth. Coaches are encouraged to use more than 1 pitcher per game. Continuous batting order. All players will be placed in the batting lineup and bat in their appropriate slot, whether they are currently playing a defensive position or not. Mandatory play. Every player on a team will participate in each game for a minimum of 6 defensive outs. Players may be entered or re-entered defensively in the game anytime, provided they meet the conditions of mandatory play. Stealing. A runner may steal as soon as the ball leaves the pitcher's hand. Bunting is allowed. Maximum number of players in the field is 9 at any time. Drop third strike rule is the batter can advance to first base after pass drop ball on third strike, providing that the first base is not occupied before the pitch, or first base is occupied with 2 outs. The runner may advance from first base at their own risk of out if desired. Can someone explain that? I just sound like that didn't make any sense.
Yeah, you can't, if first base is unoccupied, there's no one on first, and there's a drop third, you can try to get to first, right? And if the catcher throws you out, you're out. With 2 outs, even if there's a runner on first, sorry, hold on.
Mhm.
There's people behind me in my house. So with 2 outs, even if there's a runner on first, if they decide to steal and there's a drop third strike at the same time, that batter can try to go to first, and the catcher can attempt to get either of them out to make the third out of the inning.
Okay, that makes much more sense than the way I just read it. If a player becomes injured after safely reaching a base, a courtesy runner may be put in to run for the injured player. The courtesy runner must be the player who made the last out. If that injured player is unable to run on their own, they will be removed from the batting order for the remainder of the game. Patched umpires will be scheduled for these games. In the event the umpire does not show up, a parent or league representative knowledgeable of the rules can umpire the game if agreed by both managers. If during a game either team is unable to field 8 players, whether due to injury, ejection, etc., the game will end at that point, and the team will forfeit the game. And that team will forfeit the game. If a game is called due to darkness or weather in an incomplete inning, the score will revert to the last full inning of play. The game must be 4 innings to be considered a complete game, 3.5 innings if the home team is up. Okay, and then 16U. Games are played on Saturday and or Sunday at 4 p.m. or 6 p.m., possibly Friday in June. Is that accurate for those 16U coaches? Anyone know?
It looks pretty close.
Okay.
The times might be a little bit different, but it's pretty close.
Okay. 7 innings, 12-inch ball, optic yellow, raised seams. The mercy rule is 5 innings, 5 runs per inning, except the seventh inning and beyond, which is unlimited. If after 4 innings or later, the next inning is going to be the last, it can be unlimited if agreed upon by both managers and the umpire. A game is an official complete game if the team is winning by 15 or more runs after the completion of 3 or 4 innings, or winning by 10 or more runs after 5 innings. At that time, the game is officially over and the score is frozen. The contest may continue as a scrimmage provided the time limit rule is not met and both teams' coaches agree. Pitching distance is 43 feet from the back tip of the home plate. Pitchers are limited to 9 pitched innings per calendar week, Monday through Sunday, or 12 if 3 games in 1 week. Continuous batting order, all players will be placed in the batting lineup and bat in their appropriate slot, whether they are currently playing a defensive position or not. Mandatory play, every player on a team will participate in each game for a minimum of 6 consecutive defensive outs. Coaches may substitute players in and out of the game and from position to position freely as long as they meet the conditions of mandatory play. Stealing, a runner can leave the base to advance as soon as the ball leaves the pitcher's hand. And drop third strike rule, batter can advance to first base after pass drop ball on third strike, providing first base is not occupied before the pitch, or first base is occupied with 2 outs. Runners may advance from first base at their own risk of out if desired. If a player becomes injured after safely reaching a base, a courtesy runner may be put in to run for the injured player. The courtesy runner must be the player who made the last out. If that injured player is unable to run on her own, she will be removed from the batting order for the remainder of the game. Patch umpires will be scheduled for these games. In the event that the umpire does not show up, a parent or league representative knowledgeable of the rules can umpire the game if agreed upon by both managers. If during a game either team is unable to field 8 players, whether due to injury, ejection, etc., the game will end at that point and the team will forfeit the game. If a game is called due to darkness or weather in an incomplete inning, the score will revert to the last full inning of play. A game must go 5 innings to be considered a complete game, 4.5 if the home team is winning. I think that's it.
Questions?
I just have a comment. There were 2 new Babe Ruth softball rules for 2025 that we reviewed and decided not to. We're not going to use them this year. The first one was a rule for tied games. You might see it in your new 2025 rule book. Basically, they were suggesting to put a runner on second base um, and try to complete the game. So we're not going to be doing that with a tie game. Just try to see if you can finish it out with the time you have remaining. If not, it ends in a tie. Secondly, um, a courtesy runner, they were going to allow a courtesy runner for the pitcher and catcher every time they reach the base. We are not going to be doing that. It's going to be just if there's an injury, there'll be a courtesy runner.
Thanks, Ben. And just to add on, our NCMS rules like trump the Babe Ruth rules. So if we say something and Babe Ruth says something different, our rules are what we've agreed we're following, so that trumps it. If it says nothing about what your question is in our rule book, then you would go to the Babe Ruth rules and look at that. Or ask the umpire.
I have a question, Chair.
Yeah.
Has it always been for the mandatory play 6 consecutive defensive outs? Because I feel like we have
I thought we
popped
changed that. I thought we changed it. It used to be consecutive outs. You had to play a player 2 innings back to back.
Yeah.
But sometimes we agreed that you can have it be just 6 outs in the game. So you can have them play the first inning and the 4th inning or whatever, you're scheduling. it makes sense, especially in the beginning of the season, and you might only play 4 innings. Just try to get everybody in those first 4.
Exactly.
And if you
We
want to do every other inning, some coaches do that and it works and it makes the girls feel like they're not sitting there forever.
Right.
And you can get everybody in just as long as they get 2 innings. Everybody
we
has to play
changed it in the 12U to just say 6 outs. In 16U, I think we missed to strike out consecutive.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Okay.
always just done 6. Yep.
Okay. So that's really struck. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure Lisa told you we're calling it a super team. Like I have a million kids on my team.
Yeah. And I know that's tough. So just try to get them,
Yeah.
as many as you can in the first 4 innings. And then that's my suggestion. And then if you play more
Exactly.
of them,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Well, if something does come up, you can reach out to your directors. They'll be sending out, I'm sure, a copy of like how to report scores just in case, and probably the rules. And as someone said, I think the rules have already been posted to the website as well. So you have 2 different locations to find them. All right. No one has any questions?
Too easy.
Thank you very much. Have a nice night.
Thank you.